Hello, Literary Gladiator family. I am so excited to be here for my first video of this year. And I am also really excited to be speaking. So I wanted to give you guys a great new review, a great new discussion, something, but the entire last now more than a month, I have been dealing with some serious dental issues, and so I have not really been doing much of anything. So in the spirit of better days ahead and getting some stuff done later, not now, I am bringing you guys 5 of my most anticipated romance novels of 2023. So the first one might be like a little bit of a cheat, but that is fine. The reason that it's a cheat is that by the time this video comes out on the Literary Gladiator channel, my video review of this book will have come out the day previous. I have just finished reading it, and I am happy to announce that it has met all of my expectations. Hurrah! So the book in question is called Just My Type by Fallon Ballard. Last year, Fallon Ballard had their debut romance novel called Lease on Love, and I absolutely adored it. Fans of Beth O'Leary's The Flat Share, like 100%, that would be your next big favorite book. I am always worried when a debut novel is like so good and then they have another novel coming out and you're like, oh my goodness, is this gonna be as good? So Just My Type is the story of Lana and Seth, and they were high school sweethearts who broke up in a really traumatic way when they both went off to college and became like adults, and now years and years later they are both fighting for a job at the same lifestyle magazine, and their editor says, hey, Lana, you're a serial monogamist, and Seth, you are a serial dater, and so we want to set you to make challenges for the other person to get you to change your behavior in the opposite direction. And so obviously it's very awkward. There's still a lot of feelings involved, and this book was somehow just as good. I mean, I love a good second chance romance novel, but the fact that this book is a single point of view and I still adored it, it just means like it was top-notch quality, because I normally prefer 2 points of view in my romance novels, and it's got rivals to lovers, it's a enemies to lovers situation, it's a second chance romance, it's super cute, and it kind of brings the plot of a traditional romance novel and kind of puts it on its head a little bit. So lots to love here. Fallon Ballard, if you're not familiar with them, excellent author, and I'll be looking forward to like auto buying every other novel they ever produced ever. So coming on April 25th of this year, as of this taping, is the new Emily Henry novel, Happy Place. Now, I was not as fast as some people to get on the Emily Henry train. I feel like every book that she has put out has just been like incredibly well reviewed. I started reading Emily Henry's books with Book Lovers, which I reviewed on my channel. It was a 5-star book, was one of my top 5 books out of the over 200 I read in 2022, and you can watch that full review if you'd like to on my channel. But after that, I was like, everything Emily Henry writes from here on out, I have to read. And so The Happy Place is coming out this April. So this is the story of Harriet and Wynne. They have been the golden couple of their friend group for as long as they've been together, and they have recently broken up. But they haven't told anybody, and they're about to go on their annual week-long vacation with their friends. And in order not to make it awkward, not to make it weird, they say, hey, let's still pretend that we're together on this vacation. So I can only imagine hijinks will ensue and feelings will be just turned on like a faucet, but I'm so excited for this. Book Lovers was such a feel-good, cutesy book, and this just seems like, oh, just perfection. So I really can't wait for this one. Next, coming on May 9th of this year, is The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. Now, Ashley Winstead is an author who last year wrote this book called Fool Me Once, and I reviewed this book on my channel, and I really need someone else to read it, to talk to me about it, because it is one of the most interesting and like gray romance novels I've ever read. It was really interesting. It had a lot of really interesting things to say, specifically about forgiveness in a relationship, and it had also a tinge of politics, Texas politics in it, which if you know anything about me, I also read a lot of political nonfiction, and so I really liked that element to it. And so The Boyfriend Candidate is her follow-up novel, and it is about a shy librarian who decides to get out of her comfort zone and have a one-night stand with a guy she meets at a bar. However, as they are coming out of the bar, they get packed by the paparazzi, and she's like, what in the world? And it turns out that this guy that she was talking to at the bar is the new Democratic hotshot candidate for the Texas governor. And so it just becomes a whole thing. It's a fake dating scenario with this shy librarian, and Fool Me Once was so unique. It had such a unique plot and message and was way more intellectually engaging for me, just thinking about the themes and all that stuff, than many a romance novel I've read. I don't know if The Boyfriend Candidate will be the same. This plot seems a little bit more straightforward for a romance novel, but Fool Me Once was incredible, and I will absolutely check this one out. I have to read it and see what is going to go on here, because again, someone else please go read Fool Me Once. I feel like I haven't talked to anyone else who's read that book. You can check out the review on my channel. Like, read it and get back to me. Someone discuss this with me. The next book on this list is the 5th book in the Dark Olympus series by Katie Roberts, called Cruel Seduction. As it is the 5th book in the series, I actually can't get into too many of the details about how this book connects to the rest of the series. If you don't know much about Dark Olympus, it is kind of what it sounds like, a dark romance retelling. The first one was called Neon Gods, which I reviewed on my channel, and that one is a Hades and Persephone retelling in a really interesting take on the mythos. It's not just like regular Earth. There's some different interesting things going on, and so it's a little bit fantasy in that way as well. They're very, 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 very spicy. Some of them are a little bit different in tone. It kind of ricochets all around. So if you do not like dark, spicy romance, this is not for you. However, having just finished book 4 in this series and knowing what characters that are being centered on in book 5, I am screaming, chomping at the bit to read this book, because one of the characters that is one of the romantic leads in book 5 has a really, really dark backstory, and I'm just like, how is this book going to be written in such a way that I sympathize and empathize and want this character to be romantically linked to another character I know I already like? So I need to know how the plot of that one is going to go, and for all I know, it won't be successful, but the only thing I really even cared about in book 4 was just like, how is book 5 going to work? How? So I really, really, really need Cruel Seduction to be out in the world, because I need to know. So while Cruel Seduction is coming out on August 8th, the last book in this list is coming out on August 22nd. Doesn't mean there's nothing I'm looking forward to in the last half of the year, just because I needed to cut this video off at some point. So that's about as far as we're going into the year. But this last book is Knockout by Sarah Mclean. Now, I believe that Sarah Mclean is the queen of historical romance novels. I am not super a fan of them. I think there's a lot less that can be done with those, with the plots, because of just like societal conventions in those times. So I'm pretty well over that part of the romance genre. However, Sarah Mclean is writing this new series called Hell's Bells, of which Knockout is the 3rd book. And it is about this group of kind of society wallflowers, these 4 women whose society is kind of like discounted because there's something wrong with them. They're either too outgoing or they're too nerdy. Like, they just don't fit in with proper English society. And they have formed this group together to kind of take down bad men within society who are getting away with things they shouldn't be. Again, I'm not going to go too big into the plot, just because, it would slightly spoil things that happened in book 1 and 2. But book 3 is about the character Imogen, who has had my heart since book 1. I think in both of my reviews of the first 2 books, which are both on my channel, I was just sitting there in both of those just like, I need Imogen's book. I need Imogen's book. I need this to happen. And she is the nerdy one. She's really good at making explosives, and she's being set up with like a tete-a-tete with the head of the police force there, a head detective who is trying to figure out who keeps blowing some of these things up or who keeps helping the police solve some of these crimes. And Imogen's just like, wonder who? And I'm really excited for this. Every single book of which, I mean, Sarah Mclean has written over a dozen books, and I've never read a bad book by her. Are some better than others? Yes, but I've never read a bad book. And so I'm really pumped for this one, and I just can't wait to finally have the character that I've been waiting for 2 whole books finally get her chance in the spotlight. All right, friends, thank you so much for allowing me to feel a little joy and get excited about these things that are coming down the pike. I am, however, going to sign off now and not talk for a little bit because, ow. So hopefully the next time I see you guys, I will be in a little bit less pain and have more books and stuff to share with y'all. Otherwise, here's to all of us, whatever we read, for a great 2023. Thanks, guys. Bye.